25-23A. Let's see. Members of the Board of Directors of Safety Place have received the following operating income data for the year ended May 31st, 2018. So you got these two product lines, industrial systems and household systems. Okay? One is not making money and the other is. Okay? So let's see. Members of the board are surprised that the industrial systems product line is not profitable. Negative 55,000. They commission a study to determine whether the company should drop the line. Company accountants estimate that dropping industrial systems will decrease fixed cost of goods sold by 82,000 and decrease fixed selling and administrative expenses by 11,000. So overall fixed cost of goods sold will go down by 82,000 and fixed administrative expenses down here will go down by 11,000. Okay. So again, we have to look at it incrementally. So prepare a differential analysis to show whether safety, what's called Safety Place, they call it Safety Systems. That's a real company, that's why. Safety Systems. Down on Dillingham, I think. Anyway, whether Safety Place should drop the industrial systems product line. Okay, so use minus signs to show decreases to profit. So first off the bat, when you drop this product line, you're going to have a negative 310,000 effect on revenue, right? That revenue is going to go away, okay? But what's going to happen is you're going to get rid of the variable costs. So expected decrease in, well, they want to go in total, okay? So in total variable costs, the expected decrease will be both the 34,000 and the 66,000, because if it's a variable cost, with every unit that they sell, there'll be more, and it's directly related to industrial systems. So I'm going to say that it'll be the 34,000, so that would be 100,000, right? 34 plus 66. So that's going to actually be a positive effect, because by eliminating a cost, it's actually making your overall net income more, right? And then what they told us up here in the top is that the only effect that it would have on fixed costs would be the 82,000 decrease to the fixed cost of goods sold and the 11,000 decrease to the fixed administrative expenses. So those are the only two things that need to be considered in the analysis. So it's going to be 93,000 if I add the two. Then that'll be a positive effect. 93,000, and that'll be a decrease, expected decrease in fixed costs. Okay. So if we add the two, we'll have 193,000. That would be the expected decrease in total costs. And then the difference, right, would be, what do you got? Just take 7, right? So 210 plus 7. 207?
Yeah.
You got it right? You like that? I'll do it with the calculator. 270. Okay. Did I have an extra 0? 17. So that one's going to be, so the negative effect is still 117,000. So see what I mean? Like I was talking about it earlier, having a an unprofitable line of business might be helping the other line of business, even though it's not bringing in a profit for itself. Okay, let's see if we're right. That would be the expected overall decrease. Think about that for a minute. So we just pulled out the things that were relevant to the decision. Right? We didn't have to run the whole thing. We just looked at the things that would change if we were to drop that line of business. And it would actually make our overall operating income $117,000 less than it is now. Even though we're saving $193,000 in costs, we're losing the $310,000 in revenue. That's another way to think about it. Okay. Now they want me to prepare a contribution margin income statement to show Safety Place's total operating income under the two alternatives: A, with the industrial systems line, and B, without. So we already have A sitting over here, right? In this total column. See where my mouse is? It's just that we might need to condense it a little. And this is also put in an absorption costing format, and they want it in a variable costing format, right? Notice the May income statement is revenue minus cost of goods sold, which is more GAAP oriented. We're going to go revenue minus variable costs. So we're going to kind of reorganize it here. So first we'll do totals with industrial systems. Of course, the revenue will be it'll still be the same, 630,000. Now we're going to group it by variable. So we got variable manufacturing of 77,000. And we got variable, see it's sitting down here. So you got to be careful. Variable administrative, selling and administrative, 141,000. Okay. So that'll be, if I add the two, right? And then we subtract to get contribution margin. So that's the difference, right? We're going to come up with a contribution margin, which is revenue minus variable costs, as compared to in the absorption costing statement where it's cost of goods sold that we come up with. I'm sorry, it's a gross margin, or gross profit, which is revenue minus cost of goods sold. Okay. So cost of goods sold actually has a variable and fixed component, whereas in the variable costing statement, we're going to put all those variable costs together. Okay, so I got 4, 1, 2. Does that look right? Revenue minus variable costs. Okay. And we'll take the fixed cost. So if we keep industrial systems, then the fixed cost will come right from over here. So it's 286,000 plus 69,000, so 3,4,355. Why don't we just be safe here? When in doubt. Okay, 355. Okay. But, you know what? They have it broken down, so I'll show it over. That's actually going to be here, right? My total, 355. And I'll take fixed cost of goods sold, 2 fixed manufacturing costs would be 286. And fixed selling and administrative is 69. And then the difference, and of course we got the double check here, so 412 minus 355 should be that same 57,000. Okay, so we pretty much just reorganized it, right? We took what we had here and reorganized it. Now we want to get totals without industrial systems. Okay, so some of the numbers are sitting there for you. Your revenue would be only what household systems brought in. Okay, 320. Okay. Now your what do we say? Our variable costs would be only what household system has. So we can probably nail out the variable costs first. So the variable cost of goods sold would be what remains for household systems, and the variable selling and administrative expenses would be the 75 that remains for household systems. Okay. So we'll have 118,000. Okay. And then if we were to subtract that, that would be 202, right? Okay. Now the fixed cost is where we have to take what we have in total now and subtract what they said the decrease would be. Okay, so I'm going to start with fixed cost of goods sold, which is your fixed manufacturing costs. So 286,000, which is already sitting over here. 286,000 minus, they said it would go down by 82,000. So minus 82,000. That would be the new fixed manufacturing cost. And then fixed selling and administrative expenses, which is 69 in total, right? 69 minus the 11, so it would be 58. So you got 262 in total. And then we can check it out, because if you take 202,000, which is the contribution margin, and minus the fixed cost, you got a negative 60,000. They want it in parentheses. Let's see. Bear with me. I'm just doing a couple double checks here. 2, 2. Okay, so it says change if industrial systems is dropped. I'm going to have to check. I guess they want it to be in parentheses if it's negative, right? I'm going to just guess that. Right? So it would be the difference, the change. And we have that there already if you wanted to, right? It would decrease by 310. So you would do them line by line. Seems a little redundant. I guess this one I'm going to show positive. So 34 positive, right? And 66 positive. So your overall variable cost would have a positive effect of 100,000. I think that number sounds familiar, right? And then your contribution margin would be negative. 210, right? And it should check out both ways, right? 412 minus 202 is 210. And then the difference between 310 and 100,000 is 210. See how it checks out vertically and horizontally? Now, your fixed manufacturing costs will show, if it has a positive effect on net income, I'm going to show it as positive. Just being consistent with the prior problem. Although they might throw a curveball at us. Let's see. That would be 82,000, right? And this would be a positive, what is that, 11,000? Which should check out with what's up here. You know, I did the math independently when I just did it, but it's the same numbers up in the paragraph, right? So the overall positive effect would be 93, okay? And then the difference, we just did this, right? The 210 minus the 93, you said it was 117?
Yeah.
We're gonna do it again. 117, but negative, right? Okay. So you would check it out this way. You would say, we're going from 57,000 positive to a 60,000 negative. So people that are kind of math inclined, they might like to see it visually. So I'll try to do something along those lines. What do they call zero? The origin. That's what they call it in math. Or I don't know. I don't want to. Okay, so if zero is here, sounds like something out of the matrix. If that was your number line, zero is here, and you're over here at 57,000 positive. And you're going to 60,000 negative. I think this will put a different perspective on it. Yeah. The distance that you're going is actually, you gotta add them, right? So if you put in not a comment, there, make it a little bigger. You put in a shape, something like that. So, and we're working, we're not necessarily working left to right, but okay, if you're going from 57,000 down to 60,000, right, you're actually dropping that 117, right? If you took, what would I best do? 57, negative 57 plus or minus 60,000, right? That's the distance. That's the change, a negative, right? So with industrial and without industrial, just for short, right? Industrial. So we can put this over here and kind of look at what we've done. And now we have a visual of that change. and it checks out vertically and horizontally. So I don't see any reason why we should not have a green, nice work box. Yeah. Okay, so now they're going to ask us questions. What have you learned from the comparison in requirement 2? The operating income difference calculated on the total analysis of dropping a particular product line equals the expected decrease in operating income if Safety Place drops the industrial systems product line as shown in requirement 1. I think they're talking about this equaling that. Right? Looks like they washed out my minus symbols as well. Even though they made me correct, it must have not been necessary in this analysis.
Yeah, I think they were just looking for the interval, the change.
The change, yeah, in absolute value, okay? This demonstrates that the differential analysis approach in requirement 1 yields the same result as the longer approach in requirement 2 that compares total operating income in the two alternatives. Okay, so the point they're trying to make is, yes, you could have done it this way. You could have done the whole thing like this, which might help a user see the whole picture, or you could have just worked with the relevant the information that's relevant to the decision and made a much more condensed analysis, just picking out the things that would be different under the hypothetical scenario, right, of giving up industrial. Let's see if we're right. Okay, we did good. You need me to leave it up a little longer, or we're good? Okay. So don't be afraid to ask questions while we're doing